My name is Pam Burnley-Schol, and I'm a Dallas-based artist. I've been working in the Dallas art community since 1975. I started with using gold leaf as a part of my art on a regular basis, largely because I was looking for new media just to experiment with in an art catalog. An old Daniel Smith Company catalog, which is now out of business, was featuring metal leaf, and they also accompanied it with articles about how it was used and techniques. And so I thought, I'll try a packet and see if I like it. And one of my first responses when I first opened the package and started to work with it was a tactile visual one. Gold is actually a fundamental element of the universe. It's listed on the table of elements, AU. It cannot be broken down any more than it is. It's fundamental. And the light that hits this particular metal surface is unlike any other metallic light that there is. I remembered images of objects that were gold, say in my Episcopal upbringing, altar objects. I remembered images of art history classes of the use of gold objects in Egyptian culture. And in all of these, that tactile quality of light was something that had drawn people in for centuries, and it did to me too. When I first got the packets of gold, partly because of expense and partly because I was cautious about what I wanted to do with them, I used them very sparingly, largely in a decorative mode, as edging or small details in small three-dimensional works that I was working on at the time. And as I was in the middle of one particular small triptych that had just gold on the edges, we departed for a vacation trip to Wales. During that trip, I was nearly struck by a car. I had a devastating injury to my right elbow and to my right foot. And after the fourth day of what was going to be a 10-day vacation, we came home and I had surgery for the second time. By the time I was able to move my right arm well enough to make art again, my mind had gone through so much more process than I could possibly have done in that amount of time. And I was ready to quit using the gold sparingly, and I couldn't wait to just use it for a whole background. In fact, the idea of covering an entire panel with gold and then doing the absolute worst thing, painting on top of the gold, sort of made me want to giggle. So that's where I began. My composition choices originally, even before I began to use the gold as a full background on the panel, was to use the format of a triptych, originally referencing the liturgical origins of the use of gold. And after the accident in Wales and my recovery that prompted me to discard the sparing use of gold and then to go to a full panel, it seemed no longer necessary to simply make larger triptychs. The object itself became much more the focus. And I loved the way that the object of opaque paint levitates or seems to levitate on the metallic surface of the gold. This had been inspired in that interim by a trip to the Meadows Museum in Dallas, where I had seen some, I think, Renaissance or even Middle Ages era paintings of two large panels, vertical, almost life-size saints, painted in opaque paint, largely dark, lots of blacks. And yet when viewed from a distance of 8 to 10 feet, the saint images almost appeared to levitate on this fully covered gold panel. And it added that sense of mystery that the light of the gold was already doing. And I thought, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm fascinated with, is how the physics of the light on opaque paint will hold the object in place, and yet the physics of the gold will release it, because the light keeps the opaque paint suspended visually. The objects that I select to paint are all from my own personal environment. I'm fortunate to live on 3 beautiful acres in a rural area that has a large pond. And everything from the nests to a lot of the insects, little lizards, frogs, all of those things are animals and flora that I run across almost every day. I also occasionally use domestic objects that I just find beautiful or that work within the composition. Everything that I find, I document with photographs so that I can use that image again. If I were to use floral portions or even butterflies or broken eggs in my paintings and only paint from life, I would have some technical problems with trying to keep the lighting the same, and I would also usually have to deal with the decay of the object. So I do document my own work with my own photographs. I have a debt of gratitude right now to the University of North Texas Elm Fork Center, who gave me full access prior to this exhibition to utilize their insect museum, which is a wonderful room filled with Cornell boxes of, you want a swallowtail? Well, we have boxes of them. You want a monarch? We have boxes of them. And their generosity in allowing me to get images like that documented, sometimes in set-up still lifes with the nests, and sometimes simply to document some of the images, whether they were praying mantises or lovely butterflies or unusual moths. I have those now for my repertoire.